Hola Español 3, aquí estamos el jueves. Vamos a terminar cubriendo todas las cosas del perfecto, de los tensos perfectos condicional, futuro, pluscuamperfecto y presente perfecto. Pero antes de hacer eso, espero que hayas tomado, that's spoilers, that's subjunctive perfect, um, this quiz, /23 present and pluperfect quiz. Hopefully I got the key right this time, but if not, remember, don't worry, because afterwards I will go back and review all the quizzes anyway, and so if your score seems wrong, it probably is, and I'll go fix it. So there's that. So make sure that you've taken that quiz. If you've already taken that quiz, you should be watching this, which you are, so good job. The two assignments that you'll have are, one is in the homework classwork session of assignments, and it's called 4/23, All the Perfects. And then after we meet as a class, you'll have an exit ticket, which we'll talk about the subjunctive and the present perfect, which I'll explain that when we have our time together at 2:30 in the Zoom conversation. So let's go ahead and dive into what the book has. So in the book, it explains the next two tenses, the conditional perfect and the future perfect. The conditional perfect, I love, it doesn't really explain anything at all. It just says the conditional perfect is formed by using the conditional of the auxiliary verb haber in the past participle. Study the following forms. It doesn't really explain to you what it means. It doesn't explain to you why you would use it. Thanks, book. Basically, the conditional perfect, we talked about this a little bit when we were in class last time, just reviewing all of the perfect tenses thus far. Whenever you have a present action, um, or like whenever, sorry, let me start that sentence over. So there's this event, and it happens now. And this event that happens now, you want to discuss something that has happened before this event, you're going to want to use the present perfect. Just by way of review, so that we have these things firmly in our brains, let's go ahead and say let's go ahead and conjugate haber in the present tense. It's us, a, hemos, and an. Now, can you just use haber by itself? No, you're going to have to use plus a, a past participle. So PP will be, there's a lot of like 3 PPP and PP. There's a lot of PP in this class. The past participle. So if there's a past event, this thing that happened in the past, and you wanted to be like, well, this thing had happened before that thing that happened in the past, you're going to use the pluperfect. And in order to do this, we conjugate haber in the imperfect, and haber in the imperfect is había, habías, había. It's totally regular. Habíamos. And habían. Again, these can't stand alone, so you link these up with a past participle. And the past participles are always the same. It's you drop the ending, put auto or ito, unless it's my very, very precious cheddar, which is one of the irregulars. Cool. Now, conditional is when there's a potential or an imagined event of some sort. So there's an event that might possibly occur, like if you were someone else, like these types of imagined events. And because the conditional, like when you conjugate in the conditional, it automatically brings in our favorite English word, would. So the conditional is when you're saying would have, and in order to use the conditional perfect, you are going to take that haber and you are going to conjugate it in the conditional tense. Surprise! Now, haber is an irregular in the conditional and in the future tense. Instead, most of the time, you would take the verb and then just throw an ending, right? Habería. But it's one of those irregulars that loses um, that little letter in there, and it just becomes habría. So habría, tú habrías, él or ella habría, and nosotros habríamos, and ellos habrían. Woohoo! And can you use these things by themselves? Hopefully we're repeating ourselves enough. No, you can't use these things by themselves. You have to add a past participle after them. So if you want to be like, I would have eaten, but this thing happened, you could be like, habría comido, pero esa cosa pasó. Or if you wanted to be like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. No habría. Oh, wait, not I wouldn't. I wouldn't have done that if I were you. No habría hecho eso si yo fuera tú. Um, so things like that where you would say would have is where you're going to use the conditional perfect. Um, and then our last form of perfects, by the way, this is right here, it's things that I just explained to you. And the last thing is the future perfect. If we read this together, the future perfect tense is formed by using the future tense of the auxiliary verb haber and the past participle. Study the following forms of the future perfect. The future perfect is clearly, you'll notice that it's haber conjugated in the future tense plus a past participle. But look at number 2. It explains, giving you an example sentence. Desgraciadamente, ellos no estarán. Habrán salido antes de nuestra llegada. So, nuestra llegada. So these people that we're talking about, they will not be there. And we haven't been there either. So our arrival is also in the future. But it's talking about this future event and this thing that they will have done beforehand. They will have left before our arrival. Note in the above sentences that the people will not be present at some time in the future. They will not be present because they will have already left before our arrival. Their departure precedes our arrival, even though both actions will be in the future. And this is my favorite part right here. This tense is seldom used. Because if you're racking your brains trying to think of how often will I say will have about anything, I will have, you will have, we or she or they will have done something, it's basically only in cases like this example, but it shows up sometimes. And if you're like, wait, how do I say that? Ta-da, you now know how to say that. So if we're going to add this to our little chart here, I already gave you this little hint before, but let's put it all together. In order to use the future perfect, we need to take haber and put it in the future tense, which it's, remember, future and conditional irregulars are exactly the same. So it's going to be yo, they're as far as the stems, but then the endings are different. So yo abr, and then you throw the ending, abre. Tú abras. Oops, man, I can't write. Abras. Él or ella habrá. And I planned my space poorly, so let's use the magic of notability to cover a multitude of iniquities. All right. Nosotros habremos. And ellos habrán. Now, the hope would be, I probably should have said this before I started writing all these things down. The hope would be that you're following along with these notes so that you have these to refer to, but I guess you could just watch this video again if you're into that sort of masochism. So these are all of the perfect tenses. Now, what I want you to do, once we get together in class, and we spend some time together online, I'll actually walk you through some of these activities, and we'll do those together to make sure that it's drilled into your brains pretty well. The habrías and the habres and all of that. But what I want you to do is I want you to take some time, and I want you to do this assignment here. All the perfects. I want you to write a sentence using each of the perfects. Present, pluperfect, conditional perfect, and future perfect, and translate them into English, just to show that you know what these things are trying to communicate when you use them. So do a have, a had, a would have, and a will have. Write one of each of those sentences. Ready, go. Okay, cool. Once you've done that, I think that's the main chunk of what you are doing independently. And then at 2:30, I'll walk you through some of the book activities to make sure you understand those things. And then I will also introduce you to how to use haber in the present subjunctive. Bum, bum, bum. So that's that. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Spanish class experience. Peace out.